Well, some of my students ask me, "Teacher, you teach us the question in the classroom as where did you go?" But we often hear people ask us where you went. What is the correct form of question? Well, listen to what I tell them here. Before I do that, I would like to inform you that I post a video on Wednesdays related to grammar, and on Fridays a video on general topics such as vocabulary, pronunciation, or a video on IELTS and so on. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do it only if you like the video. So you will get an update every time I post a video. So let's understand what the correct form of question is. Is it where did you go or where you went? When you ask direct questions with do, does, and did, we use the structure like this. Where do you go? What do they eat? When do your parents come? Why do you like junk food? What time does she get up? Who does she eat with? Why did you come late? What time did it start? But when you use indirect questions, which means there is a phrase like tell me, a sentence like I don't know, or a yes no question like do you know, or another question maybe can you tell me. Before these WH questions, the structure of the question changes. I'll explain this with examples. Have a look at the questions that we saw previously. Where do you go? What do they eat? When do your parents come? Why do you like junk food? What time does he get up? Who does she eat with? Why did you come late? What time did it start? Now I am going to use a phrase, a sentence, or a couple of yes no questions before these WH questions. Look at the structure. What happens? The words do, does, and did are absent. We don't use do, does, and did in indirect questions. Now have a look at the same questions with indirect form. Tell me where you go. I don't know where they eat. Do you know when your parents come? Do you know why you like junk food? Do you know what time he gets up? Could you tell me who she eats with? Could you tell me why you came late? Could you tell me what time it started? So here we cancel do, does, and did when we use indirect questions. But remember, you got to do something when you cancel does and did. Do is fine, just cancel. You need to add an S to the verb when you cancel does. Like, can you tell me what time he gets up? Do you know who she eats with? And when you cancel did, you have to use past tense form of the verb or verb to. Like, could you tell me why you came late? Can you tell me what time it started? Now let's talk about how to frame questions with auxiliary verbs or helping verbs such as am, are, is, was, were, have, has. The direct question form for these is where are you? How am I today? Who is that? Why were you sad yesterday? How was it? Where have you been? How has she been? Now let's see what happens to indirect form. Tell me where you are. Tell me how I am today. Tell me who that is. I don't know why you were sad yesterday. I don't know how it was. Do you know where you have been? Could you tell me how she has been? What we are doing here is We are just flipping the helping verbs and the subjects in the direct questions, like where are you, but in direct one, tell me where you are. The same concept applies to modals as well. Modals in English grammar are these: will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, must, and so on. Not these modals. The direct question form for the modals is like this: when will you come? How would I know? Where can I find a pizza? What could he do? Where shall I go? What should I do? If you see any of these, tell me, I don't know, do you know, could you tell me, or any other similar phrases, sentences, or yes no questions before the WH questions with modals, the question form changes like this: tell me when you will come. Tell me how I would know. I don't know where I can find a nice pizza. Do you know what he could do? Could you tell me where I shall go? Could you tell me what I should do? It's very simple. Just swap the modals with the subjects when you use indirect questions. Just a quick review. We don't use do, does, and did in indirect questions. But remember, you need to add an S to the verb form when you cancel does, like tell me, or I don't know, or do you know, or could you tell me what time he gets up, who she eats with. And when you cancel did, you have to use past tense form of the verb or verb to, like tell me, or I don't know, do you know, or could you tell me why you came late, what time it started. For both helping verbs and modals, we just swap them with the subjects, like tell me, I don't know, or do you know, or could you tell me where you are, how I am today, who that is, when you will come, how I would know, where I can find a nice pizza. Now, it's also important to learn why we use indirect questions. We use them when we want to be polite, like could you tell me where the restroom is? Do you know how often the trains run? The second use of indirect questions is when we want to ask a question to the third person, like could you ask the teacher what time the class starts? Can you ask your friend what he eats? Well, the third use is to describe to someone what other people asked him or her, like Sarah asked me where I went. Raj asked me why I was late. Well, that is the end of my lesson. If you have reached until now, that means you like the video. So, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to receive notifications. I will see you in the next video. Until then, watch my other videos on various topics. Do let me know if you want me to make a video on a specific topic in the comment section. And don't be greedy by learning the information alone. Come on guys, share the video with your friends. I'm your English teacher Suresh. Goodbye.